I've seen this drop before. This is Navi secret, right? Slaughter first pick, second pick, or whatever secret secret second pick. Like,
Pulled a message to me yesterday in the middle of our game 3. He was like, "You dumbass, you're casting the replay of game 2." Thanks.
5 seconds remaining.
All right. Are we gonna have a switcheroo? All right, eventual.
There you go.
Navi's turn to ban.
And nice little synergy with the Slaughter, right? Physical and its armor. Either one could be. We could both be support. One of them is a core. We'll have to. But these fairly open
Radiant
drafts
team
in the 1-2 with these pickups that can be core or support. Very much in vogue right now, and more so than I would say maybe any other the core/support hero.
10 seconds remaining.
All the rage.
Yeah, I totally agree. Over the course of like the last couple months in this new patch, it seems that we are going to just keep seeing it more and more. As far as Bears go with their draft, I guess they're still a team that we're to necessarily know what kind of patterns they're going to be going for, since obviously this is their first big appearance and showing in DAC. I like that they go for the Venge early on because it is that flexible pick, can be played as a support or in a core role, as we saw yesterday, actually from Fata when they had Firo on the mid shadow theme, but that's a hero that is going to be banned out. So Navi doing some of their homework, seeing what
Navi's turn to ban.
Series, knowing that we had that best of 3 of Bears and they shut down Ad Venom. It was close, 2 games that were pretty close, but in the end Bears did manage to try and both of them, while Navi have been seemingly steadily growing as a
seconds remaining.
Secret and a best of 3 favor one of these two upper bracket.
Time.
Ooh, very close. I'd give like maybe a tiny edge to Bears just based on the way they won, and the performance of the team they beat. I feel like Ad Venom had a pretty good showing in both those games, but just Bears were just always ahead of them and made some really nice moves. For Secret, I don't feel like it was the same Secret we saw in the Style Ladder qualifiers. They were a bit predictable, obviously, in Game 3, running the same draft, Navi only changed 1 pick, but it was a pick that worked out a whole lot better for them. So I think Navi have stepped it up, but I think Bears may be even tougher than what Secret was yesterday.
5 seconds remaining.
That's one notable thing is Navi facing up against a team Secret that did not at their strong. Bears, only 1 performance, but it was a damn good one. Forward to, especially because for me, it was the fact that Bears didn't just like win the laning phase and go on. There wasn't a very clear like we won early and then mid and then we were able to close out the game. It was the fact that they lost the game and were able to make that kind of recovery. That to me says there's a priority and whether it's strategical or in a way wise, there's some priority in the team. I guess comebacks, but also have the kind of patience
10
able to
seconds
play
remaining.
around their
5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Bears got the 2-0, were able to come back. They're definitely appearing to be a true force in this European qualifier. But Navi, they are definitely on the rise as far as last couple of weeks go with this new roster. So we'll see what PyCat has in store. Big surprises with the Sand King. This kind of that stable hero. They more than other teams will run. We saw it yesterday on RMN was it both the last 2 games? So 2 games of the support Sand King. So a hero that they run less than most teams as far in a core role.
Navi's turn to pick.
Lifestealer is going to go the way of Bears. Navi, they didn't ban that one out. They felt like SF and Underlord had greater priority in the end pool. Surprising to me, just because Starter Lifestealer is such a potent position, and then more minus armor potentially with the Vengeful.
5 seconds remaining.
So this is going to be a formidable combination. Do you think that it's just because of the Weaver that they feel strong enough with this potential core pickup and counter to?
Yeah, they're probably feeling pretty good about it. Now they feel even better. They go into the Dazzle support. So Dazzle Rubik, not like on paper the best support duo, but as far as what they're up against, Dazzle was fantastic this game. One of the few heroes that actually will save a hero that gets jumped by a Slaughter Lifestealer. They perhaps get taken out of the fight regardless, just because they get as low as they do, but it allows them to get off at least most of their spells. And if that's a Weaver, that's a time lapse out. So you get the Grave off, it lets Weaver time lapse back to full HP, and suddenly you turn the fight around. So yesterday we saw Navi, like when they were banning the Lifesteal, it wasn't until that 5th ban against Secret. So evidently they feel fine versing the Slaughter Lifestealer if they have picks to counter it with, but they don't feel fine versing like a 5th pick Lifestealer Slaughter.
Timbersaw!
Navi's turn to ban.
I'm liking both those options. The physical damage, the Roche taking potential of Weaver TA, perhaps allows you to snowball a bit early and have a more dominant mid game, but Tinker is perhaps the, I guess, more explosive option, the kind of more, the bigger playmaker in some ways that maybe if you want to look at Dendy and if he's probably feeling, like if he's feeling the Tinker game, he'll let you know. I think that's one of those things where it's like, you're not too worried about Slaughter Lifestealer against Tinker mostly. You're playing the trees. It's quite hard to maybe get vision. You'd have to rely on the Venge with the wave to catch him out. But see what Navi have in mind. They're worried about an Alchemist, so they banned that out. I'm not sure too much what that says. It does definitely maybe suggest that Navi want to kind of focus more on being able to take mid-game objectives and they are a bit worried about some of those high ground defenders.
5 seconds remaining. Radiant team pick. Queen of Pain.
They're going to go for a very aggressive option. They do ban away the Tinker and going to go for the Queen of Pain for themselves. Their vehicle potentially for the Lifestealer, so we won't be as worried about this Slardar's, the support Slardar's Blink Dagger timing, which I think is a bit of a relief in some ways. And then we also have this very aggressive tempo control.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah. Are you worried it's at all too greedy? Like with the Timbersaw as well and like the offlane role, they've got 3 cores that all want like a good amount of farm.
Templar Assassin.
Yeah.
The Tinker for themselves, but they will go Templar Assassin mid against a Queen of Bears, I'm sure.
Yeah, perhaps with the matchup against Quap, Danny would have preferred the Tinker. He is one of those players that is he's more matchup driven than a lot of other mid players, where he really likes to be put in a position to win his mid lane. The old Navi used to always give him like even 2v1 lanes with Saniko to just make sure he wins his lane. So perhaps it would have been the preference, but TA to me looks like the better like overall strategic pick. What it brings to the table as far as being another good hero to fight into the Lifestealer. You've got great physical damage, something Lifestealer doesn't fight well into. Got good Roche control. It's a hero that takes objectives better than the Tinker, so I like the pick overall for that.
Remaining.
Does mean we are going to have a very intense clash going that 50-minute mark. Kindling some of powers.
Prepare for battle.
A little heavy. The mid game. An early TP coming out from Yapzor. He is looking to block the spawn. Did he get spotted by Biver? Yeah, he did.
He saw him on the retreat, yeah. That was 4 insta TPs. I was like, as soon as I load in, I see like 4 little glowing lights on my map, and I'm just like, holy crap, that's a big investment. But I mean, TP is 50 gold. If you scout out a ward, it pays for itself. If you prevent a ward, it pays for itself. So both teams not too concerned about chewing through a tiny bit of their economy early on.
First kind of ward. Meanwhile, the bottom lane, we have a nice aggressive healing ward placed out by Bears. Navi also have a jump
30 seconds to battle.
Spirit and maybe Bardar. See what their game plan is, because they are going to be faced up against a Sanking off lane in general. By RMN playing it 2 times yesterday. Regular old initiating off lanes. I feel like his Blink Dagger timing is going to be more important than most, because they don't have a backup plan when it comes to initiation, whereas Bears, they at least have the Quap Blink with the life.
The battle begins.
A Blink Dagger.
Yeah. They've got the vehicle regardless of the blink, but I do worry, like, can Lifesteal actually get the farm to go for those early rotations? Like, how good of an armlet timing is he realistically going to get against a Sanking Dazzle lane? This is actually, I remember the old art style Navi, they were the first team to really prioritize Sanking as a core offlaner, and they were often doing it in this dual lane setup with the Dazzle lane. You get a caustic, you prep for a caustic, you hit a burrow strike into a shadow wave on top of a creep wave. You're doing a massive amount of burst damage that often safe lane carries are just not ready for. Melee safe lane carries have it even worse. So this is a very potent lane for Navi down bottom.
Look at this. This ward's kind of interesting. I think it's the scout when the supports come forward and loop around the side to tank Pycat. Have some sort of a Slardar combination that loops around. That's very common. It's an interesting ward. Obviously, very unlikely. Be the regular counter ward, just barely off the mark there.
Yeah, so recognizing that Pycat's going to be left alone with the Dazzle down bottom, the Rubik trying to secure Dendy's first creep wave or 2, so he's bullying Pycat as far as this first wave or 2 goes, but you're not too concerned about this if you're Navi. You know that lane is going to eventually push out. You're more worried about what's happening now, which is Yapso doing some of these side pulls. He's going to be able to deny a decent chunk of XP and farm with this little pull up here.
Navi are trying to interrupt a similar pull scenario by Bears. Just general is going to be very happy with stacks if he can actually get in there with that caustic plate. Adam has deemed it worthy, and I think the easy camp pull, stack pull is order to get in there and general 3 CS. They are going to be able to get the burrow strike onto Adam, see if they can stay ahead of him here with a nice heal bomb.
Yeah.
It looks like they should be able to. Caustic Finale is going to pop him, slow him down, and general.
He's already getting some good extra farm with that neutral stack, and now gets a first blood. 650 gold, so Yapso, not Yapso, RMN can kind of leave him a bit more alone now if he wants. General with that early boost can easily kind of 1v2 this lane if RMN wants help mid lane, which is where he's headed for now. And he's getting pressured a bit with Yapso showing up, so it looks like Navi happy to rotate a bit early on.
It looks like Yapso is trying to hypnotize Dendy with the Dance of the Fish people. Standing on the high ground, spamming Crush. Rev gonna be pushed away. But this lane should get fairly easy for level 2 and level 3 active arm. Easy breathe. Did he missing out on dodging that Shadow Strike there? Felt wasted, man. That bottle and it is right now.
Yeah, RMN can't really offer a whole lot. Perhaps it's going to be like giving Dendy some extra regen and harass potential, but not really hoping for a kill. General down bottom is getting wrapped around on, so does need to be a bit careful.
It's the next one. Are going to be able to slow him down. General does not actually have the mana for Burrow Strike, and I think he felt with the open wounds he wasn't going to get out anyway. Level 2 Burrow Strike, not going to give you that. Mango intact for...
Yeah, it's tough. Like, you're 1 or 2 mana short of the stun. You don't really want to pop your Mango just for what's likely going to be a death regardless, so he accepts his fate and will just head back to the lane with Tranquil Boots and the Pullman Shield. So now he's got a lot of armor, some good damage block, and this lane gets a lot harder to find kills like we just saw. Now that he's picked up these couple of items, and perhaps we'll see even RMN like spend some more time down there with him on top of that.
Rev, with the bugs right now, is in a bit more trouble than I anticipated. Looks like he should still be fine though. Gapsor, similar scenario here. Looks like they use the Burrow Strike to catch him, but he will out. So nice for Bears, but hey, you know, I actually I looked something up last night. it was a clip of RMN back when he was on Goomba, and you know, Firo, who used to go by the name Bakemono, actually played stand-in for Goomba a couple times. Yeah, I was like thinking I remember the name Bakemono from something other than NA. Firo getting low here, does not have rage for another 2 seconds. He's going to be slowed down by the caustic finale. Pop, 19 HP. That's all he's left with. General tries to get towards him, but can't quite get it. Adam kind of body blocks him here. They are going to throw out the Burrow Strike. Yapster's coming in hot, and General may be turned around on. He gets the kill on Adam, but can he actually get alive? They're out alive, and that's not going to happen. I don't think not with Fada making the rotation. So General, I think he gladly gives up his life. He forced the rotation out of the mid.
Yeah, if they get Dazzle out of there, okay. It's not a bad trade as far as Navi are concerned, even though it is a core for his support. The pressure onto the Lifestealer is kind of denting his farm. He's been forced to shoot through a lot of his early regen. He's just not really having the easiest lane general. And once you TP back in, well, that's when Sand King's going to have an even better time here, because Lifestealer is now out of regen, and you can put even more pressure on him. So every time you die, General gets to come back to this lane and have a slightly better time than where he left it.
Here, Rev is CS 16 and 3, doing okay for himself, but when it compares to General's dominance of the laning phase,
he's not going for that.
Thought for a second he might go for that, but Hero actually forced to be out of lane. Very uncharacteristic for a Lifestealer. That Navi's aggro dual lane is.
Yeah, and once Bears sending their support mid and focusing a bit more on Dandy, that's where Fear's like, alright, I'm alone down here, I may as well TP on out, heal up before coming back to lane, potentially even consider rotating into the jungle, but still looking a bit dangerous down in this bottom lane, considering how much vision Navi have now set up there. Ironman has done a good job getting a couple of deep wards up, and rotations cause big problems for Bears down bottom, although it doesn't look like any of the other three heroes are prepping any kind of TP rotations just yet.
Seem like these supports from Bears, they did all right for themselves in the beginning. I think they've just been a tough laning phase. Spencer Spears had to deal with the aggro dual lane. Yapsor did okay, I think, with the boots pickup and hit harassment and Pycat. It was basically the only thing he could. But I think these supports are just going to have a really hard time finding successful rotations. Fada's going to get caught out by a rotation from General. Didn't see that one coming, and with Dendy lining up all those side blades, he actually get a free kill there.
Yeah, going for an extra point in the side blades early on, having that even further attack range. Dendy to keep his distance from the Quap harass down and set that one up really nicely. Very clever rotation from General, perhaps just feeling a bit uneasy at this bottom lane after dying a couple of times. Finds a more important kill in that mid lane.
Rotation's coming faster and faster. The Rubik is now at the bottom lane. He does have to invest or to dodge all of this. Pops out now. Zero has the help of Fada. He misses out on the big ultimate onto General. They will manage to pick up the two supports, it looks like, but Fada can finish off General before the TP. Oh my god, it was so close. Look at it. The nuke is actually still following him after the TP. That had to have been just a half a second clearance there for General to get out alive.
Yeah, it was like a melee cast range on the Scream that somehow that didn't hit, but followed him back to base. Split second difference there, and perfectly timed TP. Sanking could have gone for the burrow TP, perhaps deeper in the trees, but he knew that timing just well enough that he gets out of there. Still, Fata, his rotations have been able to help salvage this bottom lane a couple of times. Looked like Navi was starting to overrun it with the aggression from this Dazzle Sanking duo, but his TPs down here have been very, very important. Has helped that he's had a couple of nice runes to go with it. He's now got himself a regen rune as well, so able to keep up the aggression early on.
General is not the epicenter. I think they're hoping to be able to use this King King's intense magic damage to keep Rev in check, but he needs an additional hero, I think, to be able to do it. So fine, they're actually just fine.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
And pressure the plane tower.
Looks like General's even going to just walk himself back to the safety of his tier 2. The safety 4 of his going to make him get chased down a bit for it, but the TP in bottom 4 wants to be able to defend as well. He's already got decent reactive armor stacks, so feels fairly confident. His ability to survive these drone heroes, that'll be tested though.
Gonna be able to get back underneath his tier 1 tower. Near the bug, but Navi still want to keep the pressure on him and take the tower as a result. Rev now has to deal with that weave minus armor that's into. Looks like he is just going to hide tower fall, and Navi aren't going to bother him to take the objective that they wanted. Looks like Hero might be able to take a objective here. Rev.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
A little bit more pressure.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
Yeah, this time he hasn't got the reactive armor prep, but at the same time, Navi actually they're perhaps setting up to try and go on him with the Rubik still hiding in the trees, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. While that was going on, Navi almost lost General in the mid lane. He was had to burrow into some trees and TP out, but that was a 3-man rotation from Bears to try and kill him off, but that was unsuccessful. He's still overall, to me, looking pretty good for Bears. Like, their 4-position slider is already above 1k gold. He's looking like he should be able to get a decent timing on a Blink Dagger. Lifestealer, despite the pressure down bottom lane, with that tower is out-farming his counterpart in the Weaver. And 4.6k net worth only behind the TA seems like a decent position for him to be in. So I think all in all, this early game has gone much better than some of the early games yesterday we saw against Adfinem. With that said, Adfinem is normally a much more early game focused team.
Definitely true. I wonder if Navi are going to be able to cobble together. Blink Dagger timing for General, he's too far away from it. 800 gold, and then from there, they can get a Blink Dagger on Dendi as well. Looks like his farm is... Oh, he already has it. All right.
Yeah, Dendi's is on Korea.
And he added another Blink Dagger in his sticky buy, and I was like, wait, what?
Oh. Yeah, Dendi is very farmed. He's also by far the highest level in the game. Like, he's level 12, the Pop level 10, I believe. Yeah, halfway to level 11. Dendi's just been farming through Ancients, farming through the jungle. He is just playing the efficiency game, and this is just, to me, a recurring theme with these TA picks. Like, the hero, like, even if you have a slightly rough first couple of minutes in the laning stage because you get dual lane, like, you always seem to pull ahead around the 10 to 15 minute stage and get a very good timing on Blink Desolator.
Rev, keeping it cool against 3 heroes, doesn't use the Timber Chain. It was this weird stalemate between him and General. He used the Timber Chain, he would have been hit by a Burrow Strike. He just walks calmly back, and now he's able to make the turn. Can't quite get the connection on the Rubik. Finally gets it now, but it's dropped a little bit low on HP as a result. Vada sitting in the river, waiting for it. Rev is going to try and bait these heroes into play. Vada jumps forward, managed to get the quick kill on the Pycat before the time-lapse can be used, and now General is forced away by Rev. He does manage to dodge some Shadow Strike, rolling around for the 2-man burrow, but he desperately needs to get out of here. He does have a TP, he can juke his way through this. Rev gets the connection, and they find the kill. That is huge. They shut down that Blink Dagger progression for General, and that means that Navi will not have that big window of double Blink Dagger timings where they map.
And Navi have drafted like this lineup where they're like, okay, we're against Slaughter Lifesteal. Let's have a TA, let's have a Weaver, let's have the Dazzle for the armor. Like, let's draft against this Slaughter Lifesteal. Right now, it's Forever on the Timbersaw, who is absolutely destroying them. He's only been in 3 of these 7 kills, but it's the amount of attention he's forced Navi to kind of apply to him. Like, he's constantly laning against 2-3 heroes. He was 1v3ing there. He got that first kill on the Rubik with no help at all, and then buys enough time for the Queen of Pain to swoop in and get an extra couple of kills. He has been an absolute nuisance, and it's gone beyond the point of being a nuisance. He is an absolute problem right now for Navi to deal with.
It does kind of make you wonder, where has the Timbersaw picks been, especially with Reaper being such a frequent pickup? As soon as Navi locked down as 2 relatively physical relevant sports, and then Reaper, the Timbersaw just become and counter pick a lot. There's Smoke is going to pop here. They're going to run into Vada. They could use this quick kill. Blink Dagger forward, Melt Strike, and they will manage to pick it up. The Absol is going to come forward. They're going to try and punish Navi with a quick buyback here from Vada. See how many they can get. Biver's going to be the first one down. General into the trees. TP's out, and Dendi's away. So that buyback, absolutely not worth it for Bears. They need a lot more than just a support kill.
It's like a dream outcome. Killing the Quap and her buyback. Losing just the Rubik. If Sand King or someone gets his TP cancelled and there's a second kill for Bears, you say, alright, that buyback, it's expensive, but it kind of makes up for itself. It's not really a win, but at least you break even. But getting only a support is far from good enough. trying to take advantage of having that shrine there to prevent Navi from retreating, but then he has Blink, Sand King just goes for the instant TP, and Bears are not going to make anything of it immediately. They are grouping up towards that top lane though, and they smell blood in terms of
Go
Pycat.
for a swap. Oh yeah, you can see Yapzor was pump faking that Slithering Crush, waiting for Adam to be able to get the swap on the Pycat so they get a quicker stun than Magic Missile. But now, as a result of a missed opportunity, they're going to have to leave Adam behind. He will end up going Belt Smoke rotation there.
A rough game for Adam. Now 0-3, but more the overall farm. He's got brown boots and a couple of wards in his inventory. He was the one who had to soak up the pressure and let the life stealer farm bottom lane by often throwing away his life, and without a good escape. When these ganks fail, he's left to kind of to hang, and that's something Navi have been able to punish a couple of times now. So he's in a bit of a tough spot, and for Navi, this is now giving them some extra time and room to get General's Blink Dagger up. So the double blinks poses the next big threat for Bears to have to deal with.
Does feel like it may be a bit late though, with this Bloodstone closing in. Maybe if Forever actually does get the Bloodstone charges and they can still successfully kill him with the double blink daggers, then
yeah,
the timing actually won't be bad. But I'm just afraid that Forever may be a bit too big. Queen of Pain also has a big increase in armor with that Veil Cord completed. So some of these cores are going to be a lot harder to deal with than they would have been maybe 2 or 3 minutes ago when double blink dagger expected that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Even stuff just like having a range drop on Queen of Pain means that initial Blink Burrow Strike is going to do a bit less damage than you'd normally expect. Queen of Pain, 1300 HP with the Strength Treads is looking fairly tanky, so you don't have to necessarily kill the Timbersaw, but you ideally want to be killing core heroes with these Blink Daggers and a potential smoke from Navi. They're grouping up and posturing as if that's the call. Dendy's got a Deso, so with this they actually, in my mind, they can kill anyone with the Sand King TA Blink if they manage to burst them down without any kind of outside influence, like a swap save or a Slaughter Crush. They can kill a Timbersaw or a Queen of Pain with the Deso, but easier said than done.
This has got to be public enemy number 1. And Forever been getting way too big. He's got his Bloodstone charges. General's there to be able to stop this TP out, and here comes the onslaught of attacks. Forever does a decent job tanking through most of it, but he ultimately will never take that. That being said, Bears do get a decent prize out of that whole entire thing. They get the mid-tier 1 tower.
They got the kill onto Pycat. That was their smoke reveal, so Slaughter came in with a Blink Dagger, they blow up the Weaver. Trying to turn that Weaver kill into a Roche, but they're very low. Yeah, they've got the Slaughter amp damage, but Navi are well aware of what's going on, and they've got a Blink Epicenter at this point.
I feel like Adam is playing the role of, a medieval mess. Gets a quick kill in bottom lane, and he immediately goes up here, right? He wants information. Are they TPing into the shrine? Do they know that we're going to Ocean? Do they even have the TP up to be able to do this? And sure enough, gets the info. Navi are hot on their tail. Oh, look at this.
Oh my god, they get Timber again.
Go right back for Forever.
He's already lost that first chunk of Bloodstone charges on the fresh pickup, and they won't find him a second time as they'll swing towards me. I think Forever realizing, alright, that one creep wave is pretty good, but farming any further is way too deep on the map, and
air check
Navi will not catch him.
Of the jungle with their smoke, hoping that he'll pop, hoping that they'll find the Timber still, but have a Blink Dagger onto Yap. Thought they were going to smoke for this one, but they're actually not. Now, there is this defensive ward here from Navi that is going to help Pycat some go on the trap that is set up behind Fada. Pycat is actually going to oblige them just a bit with a Shuguchi on through. Napster will come forward, will manage to hit the crush, and they are going to be able to blow up Pycat.
That shouldn't happen with a ward there, I would say.
I would say so, too.
Sure.
Not sure what was his miscalculation. Did he miscalculate that? Did he not know that the Blink Dagger was up on the Astro? Did he not know the Infest combo was there?
Yeah, I probably just forgot about the Infest.
Biver, he'll be the first one down. Bears will manage to keep their 2-1 tower barely up. Actually just eye it out.
Radiant's bottom
13
tower
health.
is under attack.
Straight to Roshan.
Pretty low respawn time, so 10 seconds until the Weaver's back and can throw that swarm in. That vision from the TA traps allows Navi to know instantly when this is going on, but same time, this Roach drops very fast. By the time Weaver respawns and TPs, Roach is going to be effectively dead.
Roach almost going to be high contention here for these Templar Assassin. Might great duo to be able to bring down. Boy, there's obviously Hadar, Amplify, and it's Wave Air. So sure enough, there's putting a high premium on being able to aim that Aegis early on tonight. Away from Navi. Press confidence.
Yeah, they've got a really strong pushing unit now with the Desolator on Lifesteal with an Aegis. He can very safely siege towers through the Rage, and his damage output on them has been very distinctly increased because of this. So what Navi's response is going to be, whether they try and combat and fight into this Aegis or if they just try and take more of a split push approach. The Timbersaw is still often kind of off on his own, maybe posing a potential bounty for Navi to pick up, but as it stands, it's Bears with a pretty strong position in this bottom lane, looking like they should be able to take a T1 tower, and Navi contesting this one is just going to be very tricky for them. They're smoked up, but it looks like they're more thinking about this top lane than defending bottom.
I don't think this is going to come to surprise or for Avid. Only hero that's showing on the opposite side of Bears, and he also has those Bloodstone charges. Unlikely that Navi want to try and test the Aegis. So much more likely coming forward.
They see him
playing it really far back.
Yeah.
A little bit of a dangerous blink forward, but gets the Timber Chain away. It's going to be caught underneath the tier 2 here with the Epicenter. He didn't expect this much of a dive, but maybe he did. Calculated, he gets away. The burst damage is just not enough for Navi, and now Navi have overextended themselves. They're going to lose maybe Dendy here, who's caught in by the crush, but they don't have the counter vision. He managed to blink himself away. General's still sitting on the side here, but he has the blink dagger up as well. He will manage to get out. So Forev baited Navi into a dangerous position, but Navi still managed to extra.
Yeah, Navi on point with the retreat there, but that was a scary position to be in when you're getting TP'd on from behind. You've gone in that deep. Felt like there was a bit of a disconnect between the Rubik and Sankey. Like Sankey, if he wants to go for that Blink Burrow, Rubik needs to be preemptively running in to get the follow-up telekinesis. And well, these kills are going to keep on happening. Iron Man at the bottom lane gets found, and this perhaps Bears can now focus their efforts on this tier 2 bottom tower. Navi have just been struggling to find the kills. The few heroes that show on the map, mostly the Timbersaw, have just been too elusive and too well positioned.
That's the
Dire's bottom tower is falling. Radiant's middle tower is under
sphere
attack.
that the disables that he's fearing in this game are the Rubik Telekinesis. Bro Strike. Brev is getting Timber Chain straight into the hands of General. Holding onto his Bro Strike until the next Timber Chain is attempted, but Yapzor is now here to be able to stun up General, and they easily make mincemeat out of him. Dendy will successfully retreat back, but there's hot on their tail, maybe for another push. The last tier 2 is left in the mid lane. The Bears want to achieve this with these Aegis. I think that objective is pretty much free. Sure, if Navi can do much of the test. RN gonna be blown up once again.
Bears are just being very efficient around the map right now. They're not completely 5-manning, they're just going, like often it's like a 4-man push while the Timbersaw is alone defending a lane and pushing it out to prevent Navi taking a tower. And then if Timber gets gone on, Bears rotate to punish the aggression of Navi. And then they leave Quap alone setting up some of these solo kills. They're just moving around the map very well. Yapzor won't find Dendy, but the tier 2 tower you mentioned could be what Bears have their eyes set on now.
Pop out, going forward by Viver, will then pick up Adam into a 2-man Burrow Strike. It's a decent setup for a kill on 1 maybe, but Viver's also going to lose his life here. Firo eats him alive. They do manage to pop the Shrine. Yapzor gives up on the kill on General. Firo's dropping lower and lower. He has that Aegis, so they're going to have to play around that now. Forev managed to blow up General on the side. Kind of stuck in the trees here. He's going to need a moment to get out. But Navi will full out retreat with the loss of their big Stabler and General, as well as the Rubik not feeling comfortable pursuing this fight for more.
Forever will tank the tower to get some damage in. They may get a little bit worried about this one now that the weave's been applied aggressively onto themselves. That's a good setup for Dendy to perhaps try and defend this one and get aggressive. And that's,
put that to the test here.
Yeah, good old Timbersaw. See, Blink bots going back for a Yule Scepter now, it looks like. Really good game to go for some armor items now. You're not always going to have those reactive armor stats up at the start of a fight, so having like a Shiver's Guard can really help protect yourself, but the Yule's also similarly can be a nice little defensive tool as well for your team.
I really like what Rev is playing. He seems to have just really good read on what Navi is up to. Like that play, he knew they were coming top lane, and I would say that many pro players would be able to that kind of read, but the way he was still able to bait out the rotation, knowing the maximum amount that Navi could hang around that. Rev has baited Navi into so many rotations that have been very unsuccessful.
Yeah, he's definitely been the biggest space-making hero on their team. He's been involved in the least kills of his whole team, but feels like more than anyone, he's the one fighting Navi's lineup. Like, he's not normally often getting kills. Sometimes he's just taking up their attention, 2-3 heroes coming his way, and then he survives, gets out of there, but it's this constant pressure and this worry in Navi's mind that they have to address the Timbersaw, or that maybe he's the kill that they can get, but they haven't been able to do so just because of some good play.
That shrine is popped. Dendi just revealed himself with that blink out at a fresh counter ward laid out by Adam, aiding his team out. But I don't know, with the Aegis down, maybe Navi can actually take a full engage. Still kind of hesitant, just because. Then again, I guess, but now is a better time than most, right? Their initiation would still have some decent strength against the Queen of Pain. They might blow up somebody like, well, they wait for some of these other. The initiation is going to lose a fight.
And I mean, Fatah's Lincoln's now completed. This is going to make both him, Timbersaw, all three of these Bears cores nigh unkillable at this point, assuming they don't get like caught alone against 4 or 5 heroes rotating. Even the supports are going to be fairly tanky gradually. The Slatter's going to have a Solar Crest complete soon.
They get Fata right before the Lincolns is there, so the stun is actually out, and Dendi hits that last hit needed to be able to finish off Fata. They get Adam as well. All right, Navi, their choice to initiate is actually just picture perfect there. Right
that's
before
80
the
seconds cap. It's not really a dive back in the classic sense, but he bought back like 4 or 5 minutes ago, so this respawn time is very long for Fatah.
Wasn't that like 20 minutes ago or something?
Yeah, it was ages. That was like, I feel like that was the early game. That's brutal to suddenly die at like 26 minutes. Like, part of it's also that he's such a high level. He's level 20 on this Queen of Pain, and with that earlier buyback, it's got a long respawn, but it's not something Navi can take advantage of. They just don't feel confident enough to push any more of these outer towers, and they also recognize that there's threats to them in these other side lanes.
Isaac just jumps out and get gone on by Firo and Yapzor. Vivre is there to be able to interrupt some of it with the telekinesis, and Pycat gets a full HP revival. Nice 2-man burrow strike out from General with Dendi. Lined up those side attacks. He'll make short work of both of them. And now Furev with a heavy amount of minus armor kicking in on him. I don't think he stands a prayer against this physical damage. Is 4 down from Bears. Navi, they hit back real hard in this very small window. It seems like at 25 minutes, they got the kind of momentum that they needed. Now they're just pushing against Bears time and time again.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the time to start winning some of these fights. It felt like Bears were just about to reach a decent power spike with the Lincoln Sphere pickup, and suddenly Navi just find a good couple successful initiations in a row. It's not like they picked up any amazing game-changing item. It's really just been a change in the way they played it, and this fast Roshan respawn plays to their advantage. They're going to perhaps take this before Bears can react.
And they counter Adam's ward as well. Looking kind of grim for Bears. As you said, like, I thought they were going to reach a really big power spike, and they were going to be kind of unstoppable with all 3 of their cores having so much. And Pycat, I think that is one of the notable things I want to talk about was the fact that the Weaver feels a very unsuccessful core in this game because he seems to be so slow. But after those couple of fights, he's finished off his Diffusal Blade, and finally we do have a real damage item and real impact from Weaver engagements.
Yeah, I think that's the big difference maker, where suddenly Weaver is going to be able to dish out damage, but also chase. This Diffusal build means the Slatter can't just like quickly sprint, like crush and sprint away, and the ability to not get kited and keep your opponents in place is going to make a big difference for Pycat and his damage output. So Navi, with Aegis in hand, can start to threaten to do what Bears were looking to do, which is take all these outer towers, take map control, and take some of these shrines. Suddenly this game gets blown wide open. It was an almost 8,000 gold lead turned to 0 based on those couple of fights in a row. Navi just finding a big opening and completely getting them.
On another opening, rapidly rotating into their shrine. Remember when we were talking about with that Aegis, you know, Bears finishing up that last tier 2 and opening up shrines and stuff, and they were so close to obtaining total map control, but now Navi has held on long enough. They're beginning to reach sort of a mid-game stride for both their Templar Assassin and their Weaver. TA is beginning to max out here, or I shouldn't say max out, but I think this is one of her biggest power spikes, right? When you've got Linked SO and you've got that crit, your burst damage has reached probably its highest point, the best opportunity to one-shot people, whoever will.
Yeah, I mean, good news for Firo is he gets his Assault Curse at the same time the data list comes out, but I mean, you could say it the other way, like, well, now there's this armor item up, but now Dendy's got a big amount of burst damage, so he can kind of try and overpower Firo despite this new armor pickup, so going to be very tough for Bears to stay alive against Dendy's TA. They have just about completed the Solar Crest, so if they can use that aggressively on Dendy, he hasn't got an MKB to get rid of it, which makes life a little bit easier. But even so, like, that's relying on your Slatter to like not get caught out and burst down very early on in the fight. Yapster himself is fairly squishy. Doesn't have the mobility of a 4-staff, doesn't have anything outside of the Blink Dagger that really offers him survivability if he's using that Solar Crest on someone else other than him.
Bears are trying for a lot of split opportunity. Spada has very frequently pushed waves into tier 3 towers. T0 even feeling ballsy enough to get a couple of swipes there. Tier 3 itself. They are going to go for a TP back, half on a shrine. Spada is the bait here onto the tier 2 tower. RMN chose himself as a little bit of a dare of Bears to go on him, but he out and Bears able to make any sort of keep trying it. Split push and then rotation back. See if they can catch Navi in the app. They can give these 1 or 2 pickoffs instead of trying to fight them head on.
Yeah, Bears are unable to really utilize this Slatter Lifestealer duo itself this game. They've had 1 or 2 nice pickoffs that have maybe led to a tower, but it's felt like at this key mid to late game stage, they haven't found that like game-breaking pick where it's like, okay, they killed a core, there's another Roshan, there's the 2 tower, there's your shrines down. Like, they've really slowed down, and a lot of that is a testament to Navi's vision and defensive play. Ooh, that was an aggressive blink, but it's going to be okay up here.
The general can still route them here inside the Radiant jungle. He stalls for a moment, and that's going to lose him an opportunity on Yapster, it looks like. Adam may still be the opportunity to jump forward. Dendy has the burst damage necessary to kill him before the TP can forward through. So, a small pick that can turn into that. Don't really have a creep wave, so they're just going to have to overpower backdoor protection. But I think with all this minus armor and damage.
Yep. Take them a bit longer, but slow and steady, they'll get it, and then be able to kind of turn back to their other lanes and push them out. Or they can try and force Bears back if they want to. They've still got, okay, not that much longer left on the Aegis, so it does look like it's perhaps time to not try and force any risky fights because of that.
One of the dangerous things, if they did go for that high ground, they'd lose their tier 2, and they still are at a significant tower disadvantage here. Side of Navi, they're healthy towers, relatively healthy towers left on Bears protect. That map control is pretty big. When you see this game, and we're just playing like this big cat and mouse game, and I'm not sure, half the time one team's the cat and half the time they're the mouse, but they keep on running back and forth trying to go for these split pushes and routing the enemy team. For the most part, it feels like Bears is the one trying to play a little bit more hit run style, while Navi's trying to a 5-mana gate. But it does seem like both these teams are playing around, pushing out the waves, getting map control out to rotate there.
Yeah, I wonder if the way the aggression is playing out, like you mentioned, where Bears wanting to run, if that changes now that the Aegis expires. Dendy is still playing without a BKB. He, if caught, can die very quickly. Hasn't hit that level 25 refraction instances upgrade yet either, so he is a potential kill if they can get the Slider lifesteal on top of him, and now there's no Aegis, suddenly it becomes a bit more tempting. The problem is always going to be if Dazzle is in the neighborhood ready with a Grave, and if anything you can see based on Navi's position now, they may have lost the Aegis, but they still feel very confident to maintain their push. Pycat leading the way with the creep wave, safely gets to the tower. They back off a little bit considering all the heroes that are missing, but Navi themselves are sticking much more as a 5-man unit compared to the Bears squad.
They're trying to pick up Cats. Really big rankiness upgrade as well, a bit more fighting again. That Lifestealer who already has issues again.
Yep. Yeah, HP and armor great against Slider, Lifestealer. And as far as survivability goes for a Weaver, this is one of the better items, and then hiding is always going to be great. There's the duo. The Slider Lifestealer pop out, get a quick kill. Themselves out of there. Timbersaw even showing up to make sure everything went swimmingly with his TP in, but ended up being a straightforward pick off. It's always funny that it's Iron Man. Like we saw it yesterday with a Sanking where it felt a bit more fitting. Dazzle perhaps less the hero to be off farming a lane alone. You're not really able to escape those situations.
I think part of the problem is that they don't have their own forever. You know, they don't have a Timbersaw, the kind of hero that can split push really well, deal with waves, burst them down. Dazzle, I think, has to be that hero because if it's tanking or if it's any of the other two cores of Navi, they're lacking a significant amount of damage, and they don't have the kind of ability to actually live through that combination there. So Dazzle kind of has to be that hero, right? To be able to defend against these split pushes because he's the only support that is going to be able to figure through those waves and still be not important enough that if he does get ganked, Navi don't lose.
I think that's a really good point because, yeah, the Sanking they do have again is General, but yeah, he's the initiator. For Bears, Timbersaw is not really... They've got the initiation and the Slider Lifestealer, and their hero who's clearing out the waves has Boots Travel. So there's that extra, not just wave clear from a hero you don't need, but also that mobility where he can then TP into the fight, has a Blink Dagger on top of it. So it's a lot easier for Bears to kind of move around the map, whereas Navi are kind of forced to stick a bit more, and then when they do defend the lane with one hero against split push, that's where these kill opportunities will present themselves, and Bears have been really on point at taking advantage of that. But Navi can secure themselves another Roshan, get the lanes pushed out in a pretty decent place. It will set them up to go for a pretty big push, but as it stands, there's a playing keep away.
Do you feel like Navi, I have no idea how exactly, but I do feel like they do need to come up with some sort of plan that's a bit different. Because it does seem like Bears are reading all their movements so far. They're finding opportunity on RMN, split pushing, and forcing Navi back time and time. I do kind of feel like Navi to try do some sort of smoke rotation, do some sort of bait out. Maybe they let RMN bait out a Slardar rotation, or maybe they just wait for Bada to be out of position. They actually catch him with the telekinesis right before the blink. Pull back there, but now the Blade Mail is activated, and they can't actually finish him off. General is instead going to be the target. Bears actually managed to make a turn there as they were all in the off-lane jungle. They're going to be able to find RMN as well. Yapzor actually is going to be slowed down by RMN. Good force staff over the trees. He tries to go for his shallow grade TP out, but there is a dual scepter there. That being said, he did his job. He stopped Yapzor and this Lifestealer Slardar combination from pursuing for more with that poison cut. He managed to stop them from pursuing onto Dendi.
Bottom lane though now. Oh, they're not done. Ooh, that's brutal.
I thought he was going to get out.
Borov at top is a bit alone here, but looking like he should be able to hold his own against Dendi with all the armor. And that mid engagement was just so rough because Blink was used towards the mid lane but for Fada to farm, and Sanking's like, alright, I can initiate in. He actually forced you tried to use the Force Staff to break the Lincoln so that he could stun the Quap, but at the same time that he used the Force Staff, Rubik actually broke the Lincolns for him. So what ended up happening is he forced the Quap and missed the Burrow Strike because of his own Force Staff. It was like one of the most unfortunate timing of events from Navi possible. And Bears get a couple of kills, they get an Aegis now, and suddenly they're back well in the driver's seat.
He pops a refraction, will manage to get the blink out because of... Now it's Bears' turn. They're going to be able to corral all the lanes for Red, making sure to push out bottom, not giving Navi any opportunity. the push and force Bears' eye backward. With his Aegis, they're going to take the rest of the shrines and presumably go for a high ground push. Navi do have some okay high ground defense, though, in the form of general and base combo.
Yeah, the scythe pickup is perhaps the X factor. You kind of mentioned Navi feels like they need to do something a bit different, something to catch him by surprise, and a Hex initiation onto a Timbersaw or a Lifestealer could be a surprise factor. Even someone like a Slaughter. Taking out Slaughter is probably one of the key heroes to try and remove as early as possible in the fight. Dendy,
Finish off that creep. No, he doesn't get it. Now he's going to have to deal with Forev as well. He does get the Shallow Grave, but Bash stops his TP. He's in huge trouble. Forev, he spies out the Dazzle as well. The refraction's going down. Dendy needs a little bit more time to get that blink off, but it's not going to happen. So RMN, who tried to save his buddy, is also going to go down. Bears, this is exactly what they want. They want to foul in the lanes. They wanted to be able to catch Navi when they attempted to push out some of these lanes desperately. Now they found their opening to go high ground and take the racks.
TA does have buyback. We'll have to consume that one, and even with a buyback, this is a very hard defense to make. Forev can just zone heroes out with his sheer survivability and tankiness on the front lines.
Strike for first. Strike General ends up in the middle of the team and stunned up. Swap back there on the bottom. We'll make sure that he stays alive. And he throws his hard shot. Pain actually comes forward now, throws out that ultimate. Pycat does manage to dodge it inside the Shikuchi. Brev drops a little bit low, but he's just creating space now for the rest of Bears to finish off that lane of racks. Away, Bears are going to turn for two now. Hero actually being slowed down by Pycat. But then, about a time lapse. A little bit of HP, needs to maybe use another shrine here. Brev is just making sure that none of Navi can actually find an initiation on some of these lower HP heroes of Bears. They get another melee rack. Spiro's finishing up the range racks, and Navi, they're playing around this shrine, but they can't actually deal with Brev. They can't get through this wall. Ada now turns, actually gets the initiation. Yapster jumps forward, gets a two-man crush with Vero popping out. They eliminate Dendy as well. He does not have buyback. He's down for 2 minutes, and I think Navi have just lost the game like that. Game one was a relatively close affair. Back and forth, a lot of movement between these teams, but in the end, Bears are able to close it out quite nicely.
Yeah, Navi had a really strong, small little period of time in the mid game where they managed to chain together.